Hey Shrikopaths, today we'll be taking a look at Ninsar, sister to Enki Tasni, who has the uncanny ability to instantly know the answer to almost any question she's asked. Dark elements shield her on the surface, but is there more to this mysterious youth than meets the eye? I'm Shrike. Like, comment, and subscribe for more gacha content. Oh, and I've just created my very own Discord, and everybody is welcome. As long as you've got a love for gacha games, or even just one of the games I cover, I think you'll have a nice time. Link will be in the description. I hope to see you there. Let's dive right into her build. This is the first character I've seen so far that the game recommends use Hushforge Gleam. I honestly had to look it up because I had no idea what it did. It makes sense for her though, it's the Shielder 10-piece. And River of Oblivion, with HP attack and elemental anomaly. The River of Oblivion seems a bit odd here, and the folks in Discord recommend a bit of a different build for her. They keep Hushforge, but then for her 5s, they have Vulcan's Anvil for more shielding and Shining Star to get the ultimate faster, with HP attack and crit rate. A personal idea I had was to use Sacred Goblet actually as her second 5-piece, because she does have a heal buried in her kit somewhere, and it's small, but with a little boost to that, she could offer some really good sustain combined with her shields. I'm sure that either the game or the Discord would have recommended that if it were viable though, so for the time being at least, I'm going to go with the Shining Star for the ultimate charge. I just don't think leaning into the anomaly side is going to pay off here. What the two sides do agree on is the HP though, and that's because much of her kit scales off of it, so you probably want to make sure each of your pieces has HP on it. Plus, right at the launch of the game, people were talking about the broken DPS Ninsar build, so it's probably going to pay off in the long run if we build her up for damage early. Now let's take a look at her skill kit. Her basic attack has a lot of words, but it basically boils down to her 4th basic attack charges up her skill 2 gauge, which is the goal of her kit. But there are better ways to charge it than going through her basic string. Skill 1 is one of those ways. One function of this move is to teleport a short distance and have the golems smash down. But the more useful use is that once you use skill 1, it skips the first 3 basics, so you can go right into the 4th basic from skill 1. Skill 2 is kind of funny. It does a lot and is the bones of her kit, but on its own it just does damage. That's literally all it says, once you've charged up her gauge enough to use it. Everything else it does comes from her passive, and talents and potentials, but mostly the passive. And speaking of passive, this says that when skill 2 is used, it grants allies the Myr's Blessing. Okay, it says Mi's Blessing, but it's supposed to say Myr's Blessing. And what this blessing does is gives your team a shield. Why they couldn't just say skill 2 gives a shield, I don't know. It says whenever skill 2 is activated, it grants the blessing. So it's not like there is any circumstance where you could use skill 2 and not grant the blessing. I'm sure it's a back-end thing, having to do with math, or what skills possess the scaling for what effects, but to me it's just silly. Skill 2 gives your team a shield. That's it. Just think of it that way, and the shield scales off of her HP, so that's why you want to stack that. The ultimate does damage, but they specify that it's a massive amount of damage. That may just be flavor text, but maybe the scaling supports it. If so, we'll be grateful for the Shining Star mark. And speaking of scalings, the skill priority will go to the passive, which controls the shield multiplier, along with her HP, and skill 2, which controls the damage the shield does when it's activated. Looking at her basic attack, it controls a ton of stats, but the Discord has this as her least important skill, which is crazy to me. I don't see how it could be bad to level up a skill that governs so many different stats, so I'll be putting this as my 3rd priority. Notable talents is number 2, which gives Myr's Blessing, her skill 2, a team-wide attack boost that scales off her HP. Notable potentials are 2, again, which makes that attack boost even better. Number 3, which gives a defense boost to the team as long as they're inside the shield zone, and number 6, which heals the active character when the shield zone times out. This heal scales off her HP as well, so yeah, you really want to focus on HP with her. Now it's time to see it all in action, the combat section. It's actually very simple what you want to do with her. She'll come in, and you'll skill 1 into a basic attack. Mechanically, this will be a 2-hit combo that charges up her gauge. But aesthetically, and I find this hilarious, so because the golem is constantly attacking with her, what this combo does is Myr smashes the enemy and sends them to Ninsar. Then Ninsar smashes him back, and then Myr baseball bats him back to her. And then you just repeat this until her gauge is full, just hammering the poor enemy back and forth like a bruised and bloody ping pong ball. So yeah, once her shields are up, you can swap her out. Her job's done. Unless of course you've built her for damage, in which case go play ping pong. Now for teams. She's a sustain with shields. A little bit of heal when those shields run out. She's capable of dealing sub DPS level damage, but her rotation takes time. It isn't as fast as Viola's, so I wouldn't place her in the sub DPS role. I would place her in the sustain slot. The dark element won't really come into play, I feel, unless you have a dark DPS, so I think Wuxia, Ninsar, and Zero or Viola would be a solid team, given that you're good enough with Wuxia to not need a dedicated healer. If not though, nothing wrong with Li Che, Florence, Ching, all would be solid DPSs. Li Che might be tricky, bro's determined to EOS himself, but the shields could help with that. But yeah, really any DPS, and for the sub DPS, grab a Zero or Viola. I wouldn't put her with Asti, too much sustain. Even on a Ching team where Ching would benefit from the water damage buff, it's still too much sustain. But with that being said, I'm gonna fly. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.